Before we even get started, can I just say this? I already have favorites. I already have couples that got me nervous after only 3 episodes. Because it's production playing in our faces again. Okay. I don't want another Clay situation. I don't want another Chris situation. Okay. Um, One couple has amazing chemistry, but I'm not convinced that that's enough. Another couple has no physical attraction, but they might surprise us. One room is moving so fast, I'm already yelling at the TV child. But let's slow it down. Let's slow it down. Welcome back, y'all. It's Ree. Spoiler alert. We will be going over a new show. Season 20 of Married at First Sight is out. I'm a big fan. I did fall off again, like I said, once they played in our face, and it was that Chris and Paige thing traumatizing me. Like I'm like, nah, I'm off of them. So it seems like they are on a totally new network. They're on Peacock now. They're no longer on Lifetime. So exclusively. Okay. Now, if you here just to support me, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate everybody that's here. So thank everybody who pressed play, child. Listen. So it's a spoiler alert. Um, Again, we will be going over Married at First Sight season 20. The first 3 episodes have dropped. Um, and this season is in Seattle. Anybody who doesn't know anything about Married at First Sight, there's a playful acronym M.A.F.S, M.A.F.S. Here's how it works. You have a team of relationship experts, and they match complete strangers based on compatibility with life goals, their personalities, their values, um, and things like that. Now, the catch is they don't see each other, they don't meet until they are at that altar. Okay, until the bride is walking down the aisle, they don't see each other. They don't know who each other is until they see each other in that moment that day. So the couple legally gets married even before going on their first date. They head off to a honeymoon. They go on their honeymoon with other couples who are in the experiment as well. And then they move in together as husband and wife and live for several weeks before coming to a decision day where they will decide whether they want to stay married or whether they will get legally divorced. Because remember, when they first meet, the show is called Married at First Sight. They get married as soon as they see each other. I think what will be interesting, we will, as I'm going over the first 3 episodes, we will kind of discuss some slight or huge differences between what Lifetime did and how Peacock is actually producing the episodes. One of the big changes this season is this is the biggest season historically that the American version of Married at First Sight has ever had. This season they have 7 couples, so it's 14 singles. Additionally, season 20, they let go of the 2 main experts. We had Pastor Cal and we had Dr. Pepper. They were beloved, so everybody hated to see them go, but they brought in 2 new experts. Dr. Lisa Paz, she's a sex therapist, and a family therapist. And Paul Brunson, he's a matchmaker from the UK version of Married at First Sight. Now, that's a whole nother conversation because the UK version ain't even showing no more in UK because it had all these issues. But that didn't have nothing to do with Paul Brunson, so I ain't gonna tarnish his name. But I'm just saying, we're not talking about them. But now he's on this show, and Dr. Lisa Paz are considered the experts, the people who are going to be doing the matchmaking. But we will see that it's all a game for production. Production is playing with people's lives. That's my opinion anyway. And I want to know if that's y'all's opinion too, because we watch season after season, and not that production is playing with people's lives, because people are making the decision of coming on this show and having it televised, them meeting somebody for the first time and them going through actually being married to a stranger. So they did sign up for this experiment, but production got to make it interesting, got to make it entertaining, got to make it television worthy. So we get the goal, and got people like me that's gonna come on here and talk about it. Now, what I need is for y'all to engage with me. Tell me who your favorite couples are. Tell me what y'all think is coming this season. Are y'all fans too? Talk to me. Let's discuss. Discuss in the comments. Please like the video. Again, thank you. So again, like I was saying, with a brand new city, every year they do a new city. So this year they're doing Seattle for season 20. With the brand new city comes a brand new cast. And it'll be interesting to see, like I said, the different changes that Peacock has made, and how these experts, because we haven't really seen these experts on this specific show. So kind of see how their matchmaking process is and everything like that. Our 7 couples our singles are Cameron, Sean, Nick, Mecca, Marissa, and Tori. Felipe, Adam, Belle Jolie, Courtney, Nikki, Michelle, and Caitlin. And the couples are Felipe and Tori, Adam and Marissa, Belle Jolie and Mecca, Courtney and Nick, Nikki and Dr. Sean Best, Michelle and Cameron, and Caitlin and Devin. Now, I'm going to say one thing. After watching the first 3 episodes, I realized I wasn't probably asking the same questions that everybody else was asking, who's going to make it. I think the better question is, why are they going to make it? Or why won't they make it? Is the chemistry enough? Can the attraction grow over time? Can trust overcome years of disappointment? Can 2 people build a healthy marriage while both still healing from old wounds? And how much of what we're believing about these couples is actually coming from them versus what the production team is putting together, what editing is putting together. So we also have to take that into account. But let me tell you something. And this is why I'm glad you're here. And this is why I think that you're going to be glad you're here. Because with these reviews, I wasn't just paying attention to one thing. I was paying attention to everything, not just the weddings. I was watching the families, the friends, the little comments, the awkward pauses, the body language, the conversations with the experts, the different choices that they made with editing. And I was especially watching those quiet moments when the weddings were over, the dynamic between the couples, when the flowers had been put down and the makeup and the suits started coming off. The families had gone home, and you actually had 2 complete strangers who just met that day, left alone with the person they just married. So today we're going to break down every couple. We're going to go over their introductions. We're going to go over the different conversations that they had with the experts. We're going to go over the wettings, maybe some red flags, maybe some green flags. We're going to go over the wettings receptions, the private moments that they had together right after the wedding, small private moment that they had after the wedding reception, and they're back, at the bridal suites, or they were on their way to the bridal suites. By the end, I'm gonna tell y'all which couples that I think are the strongest, which ones got me scared, and pretty much what I'm gonna be watching for as we head into the honeymoon and the rest of the season. So listen, like I said, I'm glad you're here with me. It's gonna be, might be a little bit of a long one, because again, like I said, this is the biggest cast that this season has ever had, and I'm going over each and every couple. And those are the things that I'm going over. So listen, if you're on your way to work, get ready to work, get ready to eat, get ready to fold them clothes, make dinner. You get ready to drive, put your seatbelt on, check your mirrors, put your earbuds in. I just appreciate you for taking the time. Get comfortable if you chilling. And let's get into these 7 marriages, child. Now, like I said, it's Peacock this year and it's not Lifetime. So there were some big differences. One of the biggest differences to me was how it started out. Normally on Lifetime, we saw the experts doing their research. We saw kind of like the whole interview process. We saw the hundreds and thousands of singles who came out to even be on the show. They told us that, they went through psychological, testing, of course, health testing. And hundreds, of them got whittled down to, okay, we're going to interview you some more, and the different interviews, and it was a process. You saw the experts finally telling the singles, hey, you're getting married. You saw the singles inviting their families out to lunch, or over to their house, for a house party that night or something, and springing on their family, hey, I'm getting married in 2 weeks. You saw brides and grooms, try on their dresses and suits, with their families. You saw just a lot of the before the wedding started. There were at least 2 to 3 episodes of that. Peacock wasted no time. Peacock, I think, is looking for the drama. Peacock really, really whittled those episodes down to, listen, we are going to show you the experts. We're going to introduce these new experts. We finna show you these couples. And they about to get married. And like, that's how it happened. Boom, boom, boom. In the 3 first episodes. That's how it happened. I don't even know if they're going to have an after show. I remember them having an after show with Keisha Knight Pulliam. It was excellent. They had people from different magazines and different entertainment blogs, who would talk about it, people are now getting online and talking about it. So I don't know if they feel like, we're going to use our budget for other things. You do see that, remember how on Lifetime, they had the goblets, they had the signature dishes that was only from Married at First Sight. You still have that, but it's Peacock's version. It looks a little bit different, but you will see a trend in, you see this same kind of cup. Yeah. So they do still have their version of that. But the first couple we meet is Felipe and Tori. Felipe is 29. He's a restaurant manager. He was born in Brazil. He came to America with his family when he was about 6 years old. The family owns an Italian restaurant, which he manages. His mom, they say that I read somewhere, and they've been talking about this story because he makes it known like his mom, not watch out for his mom, but kind of she's kind of tough. She could be tough, and I don't know. I don't know. He kind of he has me a little intrigued about his mom, but she seems like the most peaceful woman that you'll ever meet. She's very, very nice. She's very excited that her son is getting married. So, but she's pretty much the head of the family. Like the dad gets the respect, but she pretty much runs the family, the ins and outs. So Tori is definitely going to have to impress her. Her opinion about Tori is going to matter. Felipe did admit he said he was like the ugly duckling when he was younger. He took some Accutane, he got tan, he whitened his teeth, he started working out, he got his mind right, and now he feels more attractive. He could definitely tell that he looks more attractive because he's been getting the dates. Tori is gorgeous. As you can see, she's 32 years old. She's a senior marketing manager. She's very health conscious. Tori boxes. She does Pilates. She said she used to run, but I think she said her dog has really short legs or something like that. She is very family oriented, which I saw that they both had that in common. She has like the California girly girl aesthetic. Like, I never want to put like procedures or surgeries on anybody, but she looks like she maybe gets filler or lip filler or something. I don't know. She, she says, she wants her and her husband's place to be that place that everybody comes to, so that sounds like it's right up his alley, because you kind of see that he loves, which is I kind of looked at it as could be a red flag, but he did make it known that, listen, I am going to be outside, and I am outside, until I find my wife, until I get married and settled down. But Felipe is outside. He is managing that restaurant, and then he is going and getting on with the rest of his night. And he let Paul Brunson, the expert, know that. Because Paul Brunson kind of got on him like, listen, man, you've been late to every meeting. We had to reschedule a couple because you had, come in late the morning before, and you just couldn't, get on the meeting. Definitely one of Paul's biggest concerns. But I do respect Felipe's honesty, because at least he wasn't pretending to be, like he was quiet, he was chilling. No, I'm outside, but I will calm down, when I get married. So I'm going to trust him on that, You never know. So if that's what he's saying he's going to do, then, until he's shown us otherwise, we got to go with what Felipe is saying. He seems like a really, really good guy. So I believe him. We going to see. Immediately, Tori gave me a couple of red flags. One of the things that she said when talking to the expert, she said something like, if my husband were to ask me, no, she said the very first thing I would tell my husband is, I'm not crazy. Huh? If that's the very first thing you tell somebody, they might think that you might sound a little bit crazy, Tori. That's and she said something like she would tell him a normal, family holiday or family dinner or whatever, might end, in the cops getting called. Laugh out loud, but not really. Like, huh? Tori, is everything okay? You know what I'm saying? But she makes it known, listen, I was raised in a trailer park. We didn't really have the best growing up, but I bought myself up and I put my sister through college. And, I'm very successful, but I know where I come from. You know, um, as far as what both of them was looking for, Felipe is looking for a girly girl. He's looking for someone who's family oriented. He's looking for someone who will hang out with him. He wants to, party with his wife, be outside with his wife. He wants somebody who fits naturally into his life and his family. Tori seems to check all of these boxes. Okay, Tori likes fun guys. She likes providers. She likes family oriented men. Now, Tori can take care of herself, but she seems to really, really appreciate, a man who's family oriented and is willing to be a provider. Um, why I think they match them, honestly, I do understand this match. She wants one that's outgoing. He wants a polished, feminine woman. She absolutely fits that description. My only question with them, again, is would Felipe be able to leave that nightlife behind, without her, you know what I'm saying? But I think he will, but that's kind of, if anything, that would be my only concern, with them. One thing that I noticed, Felipe made it clear, again, like I said, how very important that his mom is. And like I said, in Brazilian families, the moms are the heart of the family. Um, I did naturally wonder, if her and Tori were going to clash, but nah, Tori seems to be very respectful. She seems to be very family oriented and, willing to show that respect and not get with the program, but, show that respect. And through these episodes, you see nothing that Tori was nothing but sweet. They had nothing but very sweet interactions, Felipe's mom and Tori. Right now, I think she's going to fit into the family just fine. Now we get to their wedding. One thing we're going to have to get used to with this format, again, they don't have the dress fittings. We go straight to the wedding day. They are in their wedding suite with their bridesmaids and groomsmen. They are with the people that they love the most, their parents, their grandparents, the person who's about to give them away. You can tell that production told their loved ones, like one person, like say something really, really meaningful, like make it an emotional moment. We're going to play a little music behind, put a little razzle dazzle behind it, and it's going to be, this emotional moment. You could tell, because, that kind of happened every time. So with Tori and Felipe, Felipe's mom was very emotional. Tori had her mom and her grandmother encouraging her before she walked down the aisle. Very beautiful moments. Very beautiful moments. Another thing that is different, the way they do their first looks. Now, they have the groom. The groom still comes out, greets the family, stands at the altar, but they have him turn around. Instead of just standing there waiting, for the doors to open to receive his bride or whatever, they have him turn around, and then the person standing there officiating says, okay, you may turn around, to see your bride. So that's pretty much what happened with Tori and Felipe. Fishian said, hey, you can turn around and see your bride. Honey, Felipe turned around and damn near lost it. He was like, wow. Felipe was blown away. Tori looked absolutely beautiful, so I totally understand. But yeah, the second he turned around, he lit up, child. He could not stop smiling, and she looked just as happy. She was happy with what she saw. He was happy with what he saw. The ceremony was absolutely beautiful. Both of them spoke from the heart. That's another thing. Peacock. You know how? Okay, so some of you may not know how, but on Lifetime, Lifetime would have it where the officiant will welcome everybody once the bride got down the aisle and pretty much say, this is what such and such his family and friends want you to know about them. And then they would just give a list of, their quirks, different adjectives to describe them, why they love them, why they would be a good husband or wife, to that person, and then give them the opportunity to go ahead and do whatever vows that they have written for each other. With Peacock, again, Peacock is not playing. They are fast forwarding this thing. Pretty much the bride gets down the aisle and the officiant is like, okay, speak from the heart. I kid you not. This is how it goes. So Tori, she said her piece. It was beautiful. She promised she would always be there for him. His part was so cute because he was like, I have these friends, I have my friends, I have my family, and he was just like, I want to give it all to you. Like, it was so cute. Like, he was so serious. Like, you can have everything. Like, he just thought that she was so beautiful. He was so excited. But I love the fact that she felt the same way. Like, they were very, very into each other. And he was like, he can't wait for her to be a part of his life. And then right in the middle of everything, a bee got caught in her veil. And they dealt with that. And he, the first time he saved me, blah, blah, blah. But it was really, really cute. The receptions went well, too. The speeches were really good. One of my favorite speeches was, his mom. She was very emotional. Another one was Tori's sister. She pretty much said, listen, Tori's been taking care of me my whole life. Take care of my sister like she's taking care of me. Felipe's best friend, gave a really touching speech. Pretty much said, listen, under, the gym selfies, all the confidence, the inflated ego, Felipe is genuinely a lover of people. He is an advocate for inequality. He isn't afraid to tell his male friends, that he loves them. He's a real genuine, solid guy. And honestly, those toasts told me a lot more about Felipe, than the interviewing with the experts did, than what they show. And I'm sure, like I said, we're going to see a lot of producing, a lot of editing. So there's probably hours and hours of footage that we haven't seen. This is just the way they chopped and screwed it and presented it to us for the drama, child. Again, one of my favorite reception moments outside of the speeches with Felipe and Tori was when they went to cut the cake. When the cake is cut at Brazilian weddings, I guess the groom gives it to the most important person in his life. So he's like, he cuts the cake. He's like, I love you, mama. But he gives the cake to Tori. And, as his wife, as he should have, but Tori turns around and then lovingly gives it to his mom. That was beautiful to me, and that I'm sure that won her over. So everything that Felipe was thinking about his mom, because he was really, really nervous. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom, I don't know, So I don't know, but we'll see. Another thing is. And again, I appreciated that because nobody had to tell her to do that. That was very genuine and natural. So I'm sure that won his mom over. My prediction for them right now, I really, really like these two together. I think they have natural chemistry. They're attracted to each other. Their families seem to get mesh well at the reception. What I'm watching closely is whether he's able to leave the nightlight behind or at least balance it, with his wife like he said he was. But I honestly think these two, if people are doubting, I think they could surprise everybody. And I think that their dynamic could work. Now let's go to the next couple. We have Adam and Marissa, who I think Adam and Marissa is going to be one of the most talked about couples because of this cat, Adam. Child, Adam. You will see. Adam is Adam, but let's get into them. Now, Adam is 31 years old. He's 6'5". He's a data analyst. He said he pretty much fell into his data analyst career within 5 or 6 years. He ended up making more money than he ever imagined. So he's pretty financially secure. He's bought a lake house, and all he talks about is ripping skis and jet skiing off of this lake house, child. This cat jet skis everywhere. He also talks about playing pickleball. He also talks about playing. He just really loves himself. He talks about his gift for playing piano. He's tall, handsome. He has gifts. He has money. Gifts as far as talents. And he loves jet skiing. According to him, if it's water nearby, he's probably trying to figure out how to jet ski on it. This cat would lobby Congress, okay, to connect the lakes all up inside the East Coast to jet ski from Florida to, like, this cat is desperate for jet skiing. Like, he loves jet skiing, okay? He loves himself as well, which we will see. Marissa, she's 30. She is I believe Marissa's a program manager. She loves to read. She goes to the gym. She loves to ski. She's a romantic at heart. She wants somebody who is handsome. She talks about she's been to like 6 weddings recently, and she gets emotional every time. Especially watching the brides with their dads, because she doesn't really have a relationship with her dad, so that makes her emotional. Some things, like I said, that stood out about Adam on paper. Again, he looks excellent. Okay, he's tall, handsome. He seems to have it together. He has the money. He has the house. He's very fit. He doesn't need nothing. He basically said, I don't need anything but my wife. But I also picked up on several red flags. Now, he talks about he's in his era where he doesn't drink, but this cat is steadily meeting people at bars. All his friends drink. He hangs out at bars. Every time he talk about, I met this girl, I met her at a bar. But he seems very, very judgy when it gets to people drinking. So that's one thing with him that is a little bit, annoys me a little bit. He's a little bit judgy. I don't like that about him. Almost every story that he starts with talks about, I met this girl at a bar. So he's in his non-drinking era, but whatever. Another red flag was Brunson had him call a girl, because he was like, well, when's the last time you had a girl at your house? He was like, well, I went on a date last week. The girl came over, we jet skied. You feel me? She ain't come in, but so he was like, well, call her, let her know you about to be on Married at First Sight. He was like, oh, nah. They went back and forth about it for a second. He was like, oh, nah. She ain't gonna care. I mean, it's really not like that. Like, she's gonna be confused. The fact, like, she's gonna be like, dude, why are you calling me? Like, it's really not like that. Brunson was like, okay, but still call her, just in case. Child. Adam calls this girl. This girl cares. Okay? She is not happy. He acted like it wasn't no big deal. She clearly thought it was a big deal. You could tell in her tone. She ends up hanging up. You know what I'm saying? And that moment kind of made me stop and wonder if Adam sometimes misreads where he stands with people, or if he is just a liar. Because that whole phone call thing didn't sit well with me, So she ends up hanging up on him, Brunson pretty much tells him, give her a call later, explain to her what all is going on and everything. Like, I know that was kind of weird, but you did it, so I appreciate you calling her and letting her know, what was going on. Another red flag to me, like I said, he seemed a little bit controlling, because he was already like, look, I got her pickleball I am going to train her. I guess he trains people and stuff like that as well on different things. I don't know, pickleball, data analytics. He, says he's a great trainer. He trains people to be great and whatever. So he said after the honeymoon, like that Wednesday, he has her pickleball program already built in for her to start. Like, dog, like, do you like? You don't even know if the girl is gonna want to do pickleball, but she seems like the type that will go with the flow. So we gonna see, cause he got this big old cat. That's another thing he said about the girl. Like I'm surprised she acted like that. Like she don't even like animals. Like I got this big old 17-pound cat. So we was never gonna be husband and wife, but anyway, Marissa feels much softer emotionally. She loves love. She loves adventure. Like I said, she would prefer a husband who's handsome. But she does want somebody that has a personality. She also says being close with someone's family isn't necessarily a requirement for her, which is excellent because this cat's family is nowhere to be found. He's talking about they in Iceland and Scotland somewhere. Like, it's very, very odd. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, is this, like, he really, he seems like self-absorbed. Like, I know a lot of people throw the word narcissism around. I'm not going to call him narcissistic because, again, I don't, diagnose people and things like that. But he got some stuff with him, and it makes me wonder, like, I hope that we get to meet his family, put it like that. Like, maybe that's why he's the way he is. Like, where are they? They're somewhere overseas. Didn't even think to send a note or a video to that man to say congratulations, kiss my ass, anything. His grandma ain't traveling. His sister's like, she's not coming. So she did. Good thing she didn't seem to mind that because his family ain't gonna be there. Why the experts matched them. The experts pretty much says Adam. This was another red flag to me with the experts because what are y'all talking about? The experts pretty much said that Adam reminded them of the Tin Man. He has a heart. He just doesn't know how to show it. What do you mean? Why would y'all why would y'all match him up with somebody if this cat doesn't know how to show his heart? And y'all talking about he's ready for marriage. And talking about they believe that Marissa is the key to unlocking that. Now, wait a damn minute. What is she the Oz? What is she supposed to be? Now, y'all done introduced Mr. Jet Ski, Mr. I'm retiring at 40, forget all these people who drinking. Macaroni and cheese gives you cancer. Mr. Schedule everything. And now y'all telling me that he's the damn tin man with a hidden heart? And Marissa's supposed to fix it? No. I'm going to need y'all to show me this man's heart because right now I'm seeing a whole lot of different things with this man. So I didn't like that. But they said that. So I thought that was crazy. And that kind of makes you think about, like, these experts. Like, what the experts that Peacock done got? What is going on? Now, before the wedding, the couples, you kind of seen them exchanging gifts. It didn't show all of them exchanging their gifts, but Marissa sends Adam a journal. She writes the first page herself, pretty much encourages him, hey, we're going to write the rest of it's going to be full of love and adventure. And he's all judgy. I hope she don't just sit around reading. I hope she want to rip on these skis like he is worried about ripping the damn skis. You know what I'm saying? And then she sends him a shot. The first thing I don't drink. Already. You know what I'm saying? Her friends, he sends her a damn kill switch. He sends her pickleball stuff. Like all this stuff to show that he's adventure man. Okay, the first thing her friends, she's saying, oh, he got a boat. So, both of them are smiling and, a little excited over their gifts. They get to their first looks and it's crazy because they know each other. So I don't think that she realized that she knew him She said she didn't realize that she knew him until he smiled. But yes, they knew each other. So they kind of left that as a cliffhanger, and then like that episode went off. Um but you do see that they're clearly attracted to each other. And you know, the next episode came on, it showed that yes, they knew each other, but it wasn't any drama behind it. They met years ago in a bar. Y'all heard what I said, in a damn bar. Um and exchanged numbers. Nothing really came of it. Both of them were really busy and never went on a date, never really talked on the phone. So, but they knew each other because they met and exchanged numbers. Now, after the ceremony, again, Adam can't help himself. You know, what you think of me? What you think when you saw me? Instead of appreciating the journal, he was like, you know, I was just hoping that, you know, you wasn't somebody who was doing a whole lot of reading and, you know, all that. She's like, well, did you, you know, take the shot? He's like, I don't drink. You know, the reception came. You know, her friends, you know, completely exposed her in like the you know, little toast or the little speech. They were like, look, she likes to go to bars and does arm wrestling. Of course, he turned off because, you know, again, he don't drink, but the nigga be in bars. Anyway, they again bring up mac and cheese. She brought up mac and cheese or something like in the journal. So the girl really loves mac and cheese. He looks down on eating mac and cheese. Look, this cat thinks mac and cheese must got carcinogens or in it or something. He's talking about this mac and cheese is gonna give. Said she likes, you know, eating cancerous food. Like, he's real judgy about that. So we'll see how, you know, they come along with him putting her on his program and everything like that. So, and him being judgy about her mac and cheese, but like, excuse me, other than that, you know, it does seem like they get along and they're attracted to each other. You know, again, like I said, the reception, they doing the speeches and stuff. Adam is tuned out. Let me tell you when Adam starts to get a little bit life in him. Adam gets life in him when they like, okay, Adam's gonna do a piano performance. Child, this cat does a daggone piano performance. He plays 2 songs talking about these songs is dedicated to Marissa. Neither one of the songs had nothing to do with love. It looked like now before it showed them getting married, it did show, okay, these are the new experts. Then it showed the bachelors and the bachelorettes going to their meeting each other, going to their respective bachelors and bachelorette parties, pretty much getting to know each other, icebreakers, getting to know who I'm going to be in, you know, the other females, the other males who I'm going to be in this experiment with. So it showed that he played the damn piano then, made it uncomfortable. They're like, damn, you ain't got to play it that long. But he played the daggone piano at the reception. The friends was giggling. They was drunk from their little fireball shots. They probably already had another couple shots. So they giggling like people was looking awkward. She's like, oh yes, he's so talented. You know, she's being nice. She was the only one who didn't seem awkward. Her and Adam, child. The reception conversation, the guys quickly realized that Adam has one true love, jet skis. All this cat talked about during the reception was jet skis. He told people he jet skis the pickleball. He jet skis here. He jet skis there. He jet skis everywhere. He just jet skiing. Okay? He is excited that he got this house on the lake and that he can jet ski everywhere. Okay? And about his pickleball. Like, he is not playing. Okay? That's all he talked about. By the end of the 3 episodes, I know more about that Adam and them damn jet skis than I know about any of these other couples. Excuse me, I'm just kidding. Now, my predictions for these 2, I actually think that they do have potential. I probably talked about them for a long time, but they are going to be one of the more popular couples. They're clearly attracted to each other. She does seem to be patient, that she's going to be patient with him. She does seem genuine, but she's going to have to get with their program. So we're going to see, because he's very particular, structured. He's very opinionated. Sometimes a little bit too daggone judgmental, you know. So we gonna see. My big question is, will he be able to loosen up enough for Marissa to be Marissa, or is he gonna spend time the entire marriage trying to turn her into the female version of himself? So that was kind of my thing with them. All right, now the next couple that we're going to talk about was Courtney and Nick. Now, Courtney is a program manager. I believe she's 28 years old. She used to be a bodybuilder. Her family is like a construction family. Now, even though Courtney loves fitness, she's like, a guy with a six-pack abs will be cool. I don't want a big, bulky, bodybuilding guy. I want somebody who takes care of himself. He don't gotta be. I want my man to have a neck. That's it. Don't gotta be. She wants some athletic, but it don't gotta be like this big bulky bodybuilding guy. She's looking for somebody who is loyal. She wants a spiritually grounded husband, which they kind of mesh. I think they'll mesh on because he kind of wants the same thing. She does say that her last two relationships she was cheated on, so she does have, those wounds. Now Nick, he got a red flag. This guy say his first red flag with me is that he's appeared on reality TV before, but I do like to give everybody the benefit of a doubt. But just from the gate with him. He's 31 years old now. Even though he was been in reality TV, he did make it on. Look, I'm back working my 9 to 5 tech job. He's very smart. He's a product manager is what he does. He graduated MIT. He's a former lacrosse player, so she's going to be happy because he is athletic. And he pretty much said that he comes from a family of tech professionals. Excuse me, and he seems pretty confident going into the experiment. He even said that he felt like he was going to have the best marriage. Let's talk about what they're looking for. Courtney wants somebody that she could trust. Like I said, she's been cheated on, and she's afraid of investing in someone just to be abandoned again. One of the saddest things that she said was that she stayed in unhealthy relationships because she just didn't want to be left. So that was pretty sad to hear. She's a very beautiful lady, but she just has these things with her. Like she has these wounds, and then it was like, I just don't want them to leave me. And the experts really encourage her to have, you deserve a healthy love. Nick pretty much said that he's ready to stop dating and he's ready to build a real marriage. And I guess he's ready to stop the reality shows, whatever, build a real marriage. He's back to his 9 to 5. He's seen what that reality show stuff did, and I don't know, but he right back on the damn reality show, if you ask me. Another thing that he said that stood out is that he's never cheated on anybody. So I think that will be a good thing if it's the truth, especially for a woman like her. Because she has those cheating wounds. Now, I kind of see why the experts matched them, but I kind of think that their political views might be a little bit off because she said that she was very conservative, but there were things that she was liberal about, like women's issues and things like that. He seems to be a little more liberal than her. But he also described himself as a conservative. But it's just something about them that I think that they're going to have opposing political views, and they might clash on that. And the experts even tried to see, like, where on the spectrum is, asking her where on the spectrum was her conservatism or what, her conservative views. And she was like, well, what do you, talk to me, like, give me some different, scenarios. One of the experts was like January 6th. She act like she didn't even know about January. She was like, January 6th, you're going to have to remind me what happened on January 6th. Now, I don't know if she was joking or if she really meant that. The experts describe Courtney as somebody who wore her heart on her sleeve. And Nick, on the other hand, tends to kind of think before he speaks. He's more of a like, I'm going to process um, before I say anything, before I talk about it. So pretty much, she's pretty much probably going to say was exactly what's on her mind, and he'll probably think about it for a second before answering. So that might become an issue. But you know, sometimes opposites balance each other out, so we never know. Sometimes they frustrate each other too. So we gonna see which one them two become. The family moments. Courtney has the touching moment, you know, with her dad before the wedding. She opens up about, you know, again her fear that people, you know, will eventually leave. Um, and you can really tell that that fear has stayed with her because she kind of talks about that like I'm talking about it again. So that's how much she's talked about it. Nick also has an emotional conversation with his dad, who reminds him that look, marriage requires commitment and intentionality. You know, the wedding I think went good. You know, when they finally see each other, both of them was smiling from ear to ear. You know, both of their attraction was immediate. But the attraction was immediate visually, but it was something like with them about the chemistry, it wasn't 100%. I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't know if it's the political stuff. Um, they did their vows, which I don't got a lot of notes, barely any. It was nothing really to write home about, but they did their little, you know, here's who I am, you know, here's the kind of husband and wife I'll be. Their reception, it was relaxed but fun. You kind of saw her friends kind of nervous about how many reality shows been on, but then you kind of saw his groomsmen, his boys, like Nigerian scammer friends, like you know, like nah, you know, yeah, he's been on a lot of reality shows, but this is his end game. You his end game. You know, don't even worry about none of that. Don't even worry about the fact he's been on all these reality shows. He's just been, and he, you know, he here for you. So I hope, you know, they telling the truth. I hope they right. Um, you know, in my opinion, I believe them. But again, you know, sometimes I could be naive. I'm watching it too. Sometimes we've watched these seasons and we all have been naive. We wish the best for these people. These people are coming on, exposing their lives. Some, you know, trying to fall in love for the first time. Some people don't come for the right reasons, but a lot of them, especially in the beginning seasons, a lot of people are coming because they really are frustrated and haven't found love and want to leave it up to experts to find them love. Now, the decision to do it the way a lot of them have done it, especially people who have money and can afford matchmakers off of television and to kind of get their lives together and do other healing and stuff before they present on television. But you know, again, everything's for the drama. They signed up for it, and the experts are just going to manipulate it and give us the entertainment of our lives. My prediction with them, the attraction is there with them. The conversation did feel natural. They're already laughing together. My only concern, again, is her fear of abandonment. If Nick can consistently reassure Courtney that he's going to be there, and she allows herself to believe that she's worthy of the kind of love that she's been asking for, I think that they both have a real chance together. Right now, they just chilling. Again, there may be some conflict on the horizon with the political views we're going to see. But like I said, like the attraction is there, but I don't know, like the connection seems a little bit off, so I'm not really sure. We are going to see them. We have the next couple, Belle Jolie and Mecca. Now, Belle Jolie and Mecca both are 28 years old. She's a singer-songwriter. We're actually introduced to her in the studio. She has a beautiful voice. It shows her in the studio, so we get to hear that right away. She also teaches dance classes for all ages and is a makeup artist. She's a true creative, it seems. Now, he's in the family business. At the bachelor party, he even jokingly said, I'm going to call it he's a sanitation worker. They put it as he's a sanitation worker. But he was joking like, I clean porta potties. He's not shy about it either. And going by what the expert said about his income, he shouldn't be shy about it. He makes a good income doing it. Again, the porta potty part is a family business. He also said that he does some modeling. I don't know who with, as far as publications, as far as fashion houses, who he's modeled for. He said that he also does catering. And that was disgusting to me personally because I don't want to hear that a person who business is to clean porta potties all day, their other business is touching food and catering. That's no. Not for me, no. No judgment. I wish them all the success. They're probably both successful. But for me, as for me in my house, I also think that it was cute when they were talking to the experts that, she was like, look, I'm a lover girl at heart. And it also showed him saying, look, I'm a lover boy at heart. I like that it did show them talking to the experts kind of in parallels. All of the couples, it showed them talking kind of in parallels to kind of show the audience this is why we matched them. This is what all they have in common. So I thought that part was cute, so that they both said, like, I'm a lover girl, I'm a lover boy. So what they want, Belle Jolie, she pretty much says she wants a man with drive. Her deal breaker is laziness. She loves romance. She wants the matching outfits. Belle Jolie is also extremely close with her mom. Now, I noticed that her mom's name is Violent. And yes, violent. Like, violent. Ain't nothing violent about that woman. From what I've seen so far, just like Felipe's mom. Miss Violent is one of the most gentle women I think you ever gonna meet. Very gentle woman. Seems like a very God-fearing woman. Respect the Miss Violent. I don't know why they gave her that name. I gotta look up what that name means. If that was something back in the day people get. I don't know too many people with that name, so that's a little bit different. Maybe it means something. I don't know. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. But that's her name. Mecca loves women who could sing, and I said lucky him because she could sing. And one thing he was saying something like, it would be cute if his wife can sing him to sleep every night. So I thought that was cute because actually she can if she wanted to. Some of the red flags with them that stood out to me is about Mecca. There are some things with his story that kind of told me that Mecca is looking for reassurance. He seems to be somebody who constantly looks to be affirmed. He does admit that he's afraid of not being accepted. We do learn, like I said, his story. We see that his mom left. We see that his stepmom left, with his two younger siblings. And that he was largely raised by his father and his grandmother. Now, his father, child, Logic. Everybody know, that's another name that everybody know. He's going to be pretty popular, too. I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be talking about him. Because Logic showed his natural ass, in my opinion. Yeah, so the family dynamics, we already here, so we can start with his dad. He definitely made sure that we knew that he was in the building from the time that he was on the camera. One thing that I saw that is he is a principal. A lot of people that I know that are in education do not act the way Logic acts, at least not on camera to be televised to the whole world. Again, like I said, he showed his ass, in my opinion. Listen, people can say, this is what I want in my high school principal. This is what I wouldn't want from my high school principal to see. I don't know if he's cringing over how he's perceived on here. I don't know if the people at his job is looking at him, if the parents is looking at him, but I'm looking at him. Because, some of the stuff that he said, even like the little jokes that he said about Mecca kind of made me uncomfortable, and I didn't like it. But they seem to have a great relationship. You know, Mecca really, you know, seemed to look up to his dad. You know, to me, he constantly embarrasses him. Um, he to me mask and disguises it as light teasing, but it feels like he's roasting him every chance he gets. You know, if he asks me. But again, that's their dynamic. Mecca seems to be super comfortable with it. They seem to really have a respect for each other, in a great relationship. He admits he's the man today because of his dad. So, but some of them jokes had me looking sideways at Logic. Now, why the experts matched them? They said they matched them because now here was another red flag for me from the perception of the matchmakers, because and I had to write this down. They said at Mecca's most actualized, he could be the perfect match for Belle Jolie. Huh? What are y'all talking about at his most actualized? So are y'all saying this nigga need more counseling? Are y'all saying y'all about to play in another black woman's face? Is that what y'all saying? Because that's what I heard. But again, you know, I feel like I feel like I can't remember the New Orleans season with Woody and Amanda. We didn't look at Woody sideways, but he seemed like a party boy, and listen, they still together. They got 2 children. They happy, and he settled down. So I'm not gonna look at Mecca and say he's a fuck boy or he's gonna be a fuck boy and not treat her right, because we don't know. Um, but you know, he came across, you know, I don't know. So, but again, I'm not going to count him out. Now, before the wedding, Belle Jolie's touching moment was with her mom, Violent Girl. Now, Mecca shared his moment with his grandmom and his dad. And I like that it showed him asking grandmom, what do you think, you know, a woman, you know, wants out of her husband? And she kept it real with him. And I like her answer. She told him laughter, friendship, you know, good communication. You know, she said, that's what I want in my marriage, you know. And that's some of the best advice I heard all season so far. First looks with them. Now, when Mecca turns around, he sees her, he sees him. They are both attracted to each other. You can see it. She gets to the altar. It seems like something random happened in that moment too, because you kind of hear like the crowd laugh, and you know, I don't know if her dress made a noise. I don't know if she farted. I don't know what happened, but you see like it's a weird moment. Like Mecca's even Logic is like, we heard that, you know. So I don't know what happened. But everybody reacted. The ceremony was nice, you know. Logic had to have his moment in the beginning, so he made his little speech. They both, you know, had, you know, good vows. They seemed to have a lot in common, so, you know, it was good. You know, after the ceremony, you kind of seen, again, Mecca show that need for reassurance. He immediately starts wondering, you know, does she like me? You know, and meanwhile, we later see at the reception, Belle Jolie is talking to one of her friends like, shoot, child, he turned around. I saw him from the back and was like, okay, but child, he turned around, he was a 10. So he didn't even have nothing to worry about. I don't think he know he cute. Nigga, you talking about you model. You know, you look like something. So you wasn't too damn scared, but I don't know if he's playing this, you know, I'm scared role, or if he really does have those wounds because of the women, you know, who left him earlier in his childhood. You know, you kind of see him talking to his boys, you know, still asking, you know, what do y'all think? You know, oh, it was another moment like I said, Logic was saying some crazy stuff. He told this boy, you know, she give you a cheek, that's for the weak. You know, she give you the tongue, she sprung. You know, as far as what she does at the altar, she ended up giving him the cheek. You know, so at the reception when he gets with his boys, he's like, what do y'all think about her giving me her cheek, whatever, whatever. And he's like, no, his friends are like, dog, I think, that was very classy. Nothing wrong with her doing that. I don't see anything wrong with it. His friends is basically telling him, don't, overthink it. You need to relax. She handled it with class. She like you, dog. Just relax. You know what I'm saying? The speeches. Again, Mecca's papa, Logic, gets up first. He does say a nice speech, so, I will give him that. But the beginning of it, again, it's kind of like an embarrassing Mecca ritual. He goes through, at first Mecca wanted to be a basketball player, then he wanted to be a boxer, then he wanted to be, work for the FBI. He, went to college and didn't even make the women's, he made the women's, bench team, he boxed and lost 3 times. Just, everything he's wanted to do, he's failed. Now he getting married. But like I said, he rounded it out, and by the end of the speech, it was, it was nice. But it started off, like I said, I don't really like when he does that. But again, that's their dynamic. He seemed to be cool with it, and hey, that's them. So, Bo Jolie's mom then speaks. Miss Violent gives a beautiful speech. She talks about, how strong Belle Jolie has been. She tells Mecca, to cherish her. And then she says something, also to Mecca that I loved. She says, I see that you're goofy, but I also see that you're intelligent. I also see how strong and solid that you are, and it was really, really heartfelt. So I appreciate, her speech, her toast, whatever. They had a really fun reception. By the end of the night, both of their families and friends was teasing them. Belle Jolie, friend was teasing her about, you gonna kiss him, and then you see Logic teasing Mecca. And another thing he said that, I was cringing as a principal, being shown on national TV. You gonna clap them cheeks, like, ugh. Everything else, I'm just sitting here thinking, my prediction with them is I think they're going to be a match. They're naturally attracted to each other. They both seem romantic. They both want love. They both want family. My biggest concern isn't really with Belle Jolie. It's whether Mecca can stop looking for the constant reassurance, and simply just trust someone genuinely likes him. Because based on the, oh, hi baby, oh, I love you too. Based on the first 3 episodes, everybody say hi to Bear. She absolutely does like him. She absolutely likes Mecca. So. Let's talk about the next couple. And I thank you guys because you guys have been with me for over an hour. So y'all really are fans, or y'all really, really support me for real. So thank y'all. I hope I am going over these people as thoroughly as possible. And, doing it in, a manner and the proper order that you guys, like listening to, and everything is flowing right. I tried to build it that way. I tried to make my notes that way, so I hope it's coming across that way. Next couple we're going to get to is Nikki and Sean. Now, Nikki is 46 years old. Sean is, I think Sean is 47. She is a leader in human resources. She makes between 250 and 350 per year, and she's absolutely gorgeous. She's a self-described sapiosexual. She said that, not me. And the sapiosexual is somebody who is just like intelligence is, a huge part of the attraction for her. She's not into looks or anything. She's into, what's in your mind. She does want children. She wants someone who's at least 6 feet tall. And Sean, he is the vice president of college administrations, making him not a medical, doctor, but he's an education doctor. And he loves playing on the last name Best. He says that he wants a woman who's smart, sociable. He wants a flirty woman. And he also wants a woman who wants children or is at least open to adoption. Now, his entire introduction to me centered around one thing, kind of, again, him playing on his name and the fact that, listen, in 5th grade, listen, my last name is Best, and I said I wanted to be the best. He talks about, earning the perfect math score in 6th or 7th grade and being able to take the SAT early. He won a major drum competition one year. He ends up being a class valedictorian his senior year. He dated, the first black Miss Pennsylvania, dated the first black Miss, I don't know, Massachusetts, something like that. He made it known that, he was even, a sports, person in school, even though he's 5'6". Yes, they matched Nikki up, even though she said she wanted somebody who's at least 6 foot. She actually said she wanted somebody who towers over her. Specifically, she said that. So hopefully they're not playing in. And listen, I'm a black woman, so a lot of this will be my perspective. So my thing is, hopefully they're not playing in another black woman's face. He makes it known, listen, despite me being 5'6", I was a great quarterback. I played basketball in school. You can pretty much tell that he's built his entire life trying to prove at least that he's the best. And he's done just that. Shoot, he's become a doctor. He's done great things in his life. So I do give him that. But there are red flags. Now, the match in particular with them two made me scratch my head. Again, he's 5'6". She wants someone who towers over her. Now, does height determine a good husband? Absolutely not. But if somebody tells you something that's important to them, I think you should take heed. I'm not even going to say the expert. I think this was production. Let's get a little conflict. Another potential hurdle. One thing that she made it known, and even the expert had to say to her, listen, the average income for America is $67,000. Nikki was like, listen, I make $250 to $350 a year. The minimum I want my husband to make is $200. The minimum. And he talked her down to that because at first she was like $250. Now, the experts were explaining why they matched them, and they believe that these two can become a true power couple. And look, they can. They can. They're both highly educated. They both came from humble beginnings. They both have built very impressive careers. They both want children. But the concern with them is whether their confidence will turn into ego, in my opinion. But I'm rooting for everybody black, like I said. Now, before the wedding ceremony, you see their exchanging of gifts. You see Sean sends Nikki a very, very thoughtful letter. The letter actually makes her cry. And a necklace with a pendant with their wedding date on it. She's in tears. Like, she loves it. Um, she isn't just excited. She's hopeful. She's optimistic. She's really like, this is really about to be my husband. Um, you also see him spending time with his side of the family. You see him spending time with his mom. Um, I like when he came out, unlike some of the husbands, Sean made himself immediately, you know, hospitable, to both sides of the family, not just his family, Nikki's family as well. He was warm, welcoming. He immediately makes himself available to everybody. Before she comes down the aisle, she's, she has already, had the emotional conversation with her mom, but then it shows her spending a couple minutes with two friends. One of the friends, though, ends up walking her down the aisle, so I don't know. They must have been very, very close friends. But she's annoying in this moment because she's using this voice that we've never heard before. It's like this high pitch, like, bitch, what is your problem? Snap out of it. Let's talk about the first look with them, because is what everybody's. They're going to be a popular couple as well, because this first look is pretty much what everybody's been talking about with this particular couple, with these first few episodes. Again, the officiant, before the bride comes down the aisle, the officiant tells the groom to turn around. So he turns around. The officiant's like, okay, now your bride is coming down the aisle, you could turn around. Child, he turns around, he sees her, he is smiling ear to ear. He is the happiest he's ever been. She comes down the aisle. She is like, oh shit, I'm about to cry. And I'm like, are you about to cry because you don't like what you see, or because like this is your wedding day, you can't believe it? Oh my God, I'm about to cry. Production edits it in a way where they make it look like she doesn't like what she sees. Like, it's very, very obvious to everybody watching. They pretty much show Nikki completely freeze. She gets down the aisle. She stands there. Everybody's really talking about this moment because she's standing there. Everybody's talking about how he looks like Professor Cal. He's bald. He's a man of a certain age. He wears glasses. He has salt and pepper beard, but in my opinion, Professor Cal has much more swag than him. He's a little, I don't know, he gives corny, he gives a little creepy, a little, I've been smart my whole life. I didn't get a girl till I was older. I'm passive aggressive when I'm rejected. Little boyish type, So, we're gonna see. So again, she's like a little bit frozen. She's smiling, but she's like, yes, I'm about to cry. Hello. Everything's great. Life's great. Production immediately cuts back to Sean. It felt like by the time she got down the aisle, she was struggling to process, what she was seeing. She's standing there with this man. She's, I don't know if she says it jokingly or she's dead serious. She seems like she's dead serious. They edit it in a way to make it look like she's dead serious. She's like, okay, like, where's my husband? She's standing there like she is standing there with Pastor Cal. Like, this man in this brown suit standing there is not her husband, but the person who's about to marry her. She's still waiting for her. Like, where is my husband? Why are y'all playing with me? So, very awkward. There's a very awkward silence. And he's asking her, he's finally like, are you breathing? And then it goes off. So we got a cliffhanger on. That's like the very end of episode 2. The two literally are ending on that awkward silence. Her asking her, are you breathing? 3 comes on pretty much with her, inhaling, exhaling, and through gritted teeth and a forced smile, like, nice to meet you. I'm breathing. The editors knew exactly what they was doing. But the ceremony ends up being beautiful. Once Nikki, gathers herself, she gets herself together. She delivers beautiful vows. She's, talks about, listen, I like to try new things. I like learning, I want to grow. Something in Sean's vows that caught my attention, he almost seems to acknowledge what everybody's thinking. You know what I'm saying? He said something like the best relationships that he's been in, weren't, built on physical attraction at first. He pretty much also tells Nikki, listen, I've been very intentional, about this. For the past year, I've been getting 2 of everything. So, he looks her in the eye and he's like, look, there is space for you. And, the audience eats that up. She looks like she eats it up a little bit. It was a very sweet moment, a very sweet thing to say, a very sweet gesture. When it's time to kiss, she's very gracious. He asks, for permission to kiss her. And she says, yeah, you can give me a little kiss. They have a little sweet, kiss on the lips, and that's that. After, they get married, again, the couples have their moments, their private moment before they join the rest of the, people who watch the wedding and the wedding party for the reception. They have their private moment. So, he's like, I'm gonna give you a little space because, he noticed that she, wasn't, all the way, we don't have to hold hands. We don't gotta rush, and I actually appreciated that, after all the awkwardness, it showed that he was trying to respect her comfort level, in that moment. Okay. She does say in her confessional that he has kind eyes and he has a nice smile. She reminds us that she's a sapiosexual, just letting us know, pretty much saying without saying, like, I'm not attracted to this man, but, these are some good qualities of him and we're going to see, I'm still in this, while the physical attraction isn't there yet, she is willing to let the intelligence and personality lead. They even end up bonding over their love or their compatibility with their knowledge of the neurosciences. Sean does have to clear up for her that he is an EDU doctor and not a medical doctor. At the reception, Nikki's friends are telling her, "Hey, y'all look good together. They happy, they're excited." She's like, "Oh, really? Yeah, me too." She's like cautiously optimistic. Sean is telling everybody how beautiful she is. He's over the moon. They have a cringy moment, where Peacock plays Genuine's pony in your honey. No. Sean takes her garter belt off with his teeth and, asks her for a kiss. She, graciously accepts, but, she's real tight with it, just, trying to, go with the flow, go with the moment, but it's very cringy. He has a moment where he's talking to his Uncle Mike, and, he's like, Uncle Mike, you know me, you know my history, I move fast with women, this and that. I'm about to be with this lady for a week and wake up in bed with her every day. What you think, Uncle Mike? Uncle Mike is like, dude, take your time with her, respect her. Okay? Love is patient, love is kind. He started quoting Bible scriptures to him. I think Uncle Mike gave him the best advice that we've heard all season, to Sean. Slow your roll. Okay. My prediction for them, I think they're fascinating. On paper, they look excellent. They're almost perfect. They're both successful, educated. They're both driven. They seemingly want the same future. You know, they seemingly want a family, even though they're their oldest couple this season. You know, being 46 and 47. But that seems to be a hurdle that both of them are willing to overcome. So you know, we'll see. Um, Um, I really hope that he takes his time and respects her, like Uncle Mike says, though, you know, and lets the relationship grow naturally. I think if these two can build an emotional relationship first, an emotional connection first, that the relationship will grow and we'll see it grow in a positive direction. They could be one of the strongest couples of the season. You know, you never know. The next couple we have Michelle and Cameron. Um, and this couple, I would say, is the second least that they really talked about and televised. I'm talking about Peacock as far as Married at First Sight this season. Um, I'll introduce some and you'll see what I mean. Like, I don't even have a whole bunch of notes for them. Michelle is 28 years old. They have the hugest age gap, though. They have a 9-year age gap because Cameron is 37. She is some kind of manager, I think. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really a stickler for that. I really pride myself on having everybody's career and age and everything like that. We'll figure it out in another video or episode. Um, She's smart. She's career driven. She comes from a Vietnamese family where her parents' marriage was actually, you know, arranged. She's already frozen her eggs. She discusses that. She's very so that shows she's very serious about becoming a mother. She admits that she's spent too much time dating emotionally unavailable men who weren't ready for commitment. So that's her reason of, you know, here's why I'm still single. But she's still very young. You know, he's pushing 40. You know, one thing the expert said about Cameron is that Cameron is him but doesn't know he's him. So that's why he's a more likable person, because he's very humble. We kind of see that with his friends too. His friends are really talking him up. He is a head basketball coach at a community college. He really prides himself with his job on growing the young men on his basketball team to young men who can acquire scholarships to go to 4-year colleges and compete at different levels, you know, with their basketball gift, and continue to, you know, enhance their education as well. But you know, he's accomplished, he's respected, but he's very humble. Like, he doesn't really talk much about that, but he is. What both of them are looking for. Michelle wants someone tall, she says. She wants someone athletic, someone family oriented. She wants someone who is actually ready to build a life and not, you know, be a playboy. She's gonna get that tall athlete. She don't even know, but she gonna get it. Cameron says that he is an intentional dater. The problem is, which he says, but his family also points out, that he is a very picky person and a picky dater. He hasn't had a relationship that lasted over 6 months. In fact, his sister said, and she said it jokingly, but she probably meant, you know, a lot of jokes are true. She probably meant it. His sister said something like, you ain't been in a relationship more than a day. So that'll be interesting. That is a red flag. So we're gonna see. Production tries to make it seem like, you know, there's some conflicts with them. Like I said, she said that she froze her eggs, but they're gonna try to make it seem like the conflict with them is the fact that she also has fibroid issues, which may lead to some issues with her fertility. Their family dynamic was very interesting. Again, I said Michelle's parents had an arranged marriage. Her grandparents introduced him and said something about her father being tall. So, tall. They must love tall men in their family. I don't know, child. Another thing that we also see is her father is very camera shy. So he didn't necessarily want to be on camera. So we don't see a lot of her father. We do see him in the crowd at the wedding. We do see him in the crowd at the reception when the brother is giving his toast speech. But he doesn't really show on camera. But we see that he sends his daughter, okay, a very, very thoughtful, very tear-jerking, very beautiful note. Cameron's family, Cameron's parents. Even though he didn't want to show up on camera, he made his love known for his daughter on her special day. So I will say that about her father. I appreciated that. I don't like how picky Cameron is. So again, that is definitely going to be a red flag. Before the wedding, Michelle has a touching moment with her family. He has a touching moment with his family. They have their first looks where he turns around the officiant and says, "Hey, here comes your bride. You can turn around now." When Michelle comes down that aisle, before he turns around, his family is excited. His mom is like, "Oh, she's, his mom is thrilled. Like, she's absolutely beautiful. She's gorgeous. She has these dimples. She has this beautiful smile. And she carries herself with a lot of confidence." But again, he turns around, they finally meet. They both love what they see. But the difference in height is very, very noticeable. The moment in itself when they come face to face is a little bit awkward. And that he says that in his vows a little bit, like, we'll have some awkward moments, blah, 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 whatever. They do their little, meet each other, vow, this is me, whatever thing. They have a, nice officiated wedding. And they wrap it up. Now they have a reception. That's pretty good. Cameron's friends, again, spend a lot of time talking him up, let her know that he's him. He might not tell you that he's him, but he's him. He's a big deal. Look on YouTube. You will find him in a basketball tournament or something, guarding Steph Curry. The man can hoop, they tell her. They have their first dance. That's awkward. He tells her again, "Look, I told you it's going to be some awkward." That height difference is crazy. They have the speeches. Her brother kind of messes up a little bit in the beginning of his speech because he kind of makes her look like she's like a bar girl. But, she's like, "Look, I don't go to bar like that no more. Chill, bro. Like, you bugging." I thought, but he wraps it up, nicely. And he pretty much said, look, she loves Disneyland, so she knows every ride, every song, get used to that. Get used to knowing every character. Pretty much told me, like, wrapped it up something like, what's love? Love is going to the karaoke bar with my sister at 1 o'clock in the morning, because you will, pretty much, So he recovered nicely at the end, but he got a rocky start. My prediction for them, out of all the couples, I think this couple probably that I've talked about so far is the one that we least know about, know information about so far. We know the least about so far. Production hasn't really spent a lot of time developing their story compared to the other marriages, in my opinion, for me to have written notes about. So some of what they have and what's to come with them is actually still a mystery. What I do know is Michelle is serious about marriage. Cam seems really genuinely ready for marriage. But with them too, their chemistry isn't off the charts. Not yet anyway, but it's also not that bad. Right now, it's just So we'll see how they navigate. The production kind of makes it like they may have to navigate a fertility issue with Michelle because she says to him he has 5 boys, and then he says something like, oh, I don't know, that makes me want to run for the hills. But again, earlier shows her saying that she had her eggs frozen. So, you know, she's young, like she's ready for this. Like, y'all will be all right. Okay. So, last but not least, we have the last and final couple, Caitlyn and Devin. Okay. Whew. Y'all made it to the end with me. All right. So, let me hurry up. Okay. So, Caitlyn is 27. Devin is 26. Caitlyn is a social media marketer for a boutique marketing firm, she says. Devin is a professional rugby player who hopes that his bride is someone who works remotely because he wants someone who will follow him anywhere. It kind of shows their parallels talking to the experts, but shows, kind of the things they have in common. One of the things she says is she does work remote and she can kind of move if she wants to. But I kind of question that because, okay, she has that at home job, but she also says that she has other jobs kind of like in the community. She is a makeup artist, you know what I'm saying? She teaches like biking or one fit or something like that, you know what I'm saying? She's been doing that for a year, so she does something, to me, in my opinion, that might kind of say, hey, I can't just up and move everywhere you go. You know what I'm saying? But again, she said that she will be willing. So we'll see. He describes himself as, you'll see him, you might assume he's a jerk or a fuck boy, but when you really get to know him, people who have gotten to know him pretty much see him as a big ass, soft ass teddy bear. Okay, he grew up without his dad. She did not. Her dad is there. As a matter of fact, her dad is pissed and does not walk her down the aisle. Because he is a very old school. Ask my daughter, ask me, can you marry my daughter? And then I walk my daughter down the aisle, blah blah blah. But he's like, nah, I don't believe in this married at first sight stuff. I'm not walking you down the aisle. She's looking for somebody who looks like Nick Bosa from the 49ers. He's looking for somebody who looks like Sydney Sweeney and has the eyes that look up to you. He said, I don't know, puppy dog eyes. He said, but it seems like both of them got what they ordered, because they're immediately attracted to each other, once it's time, for them to meet. Things that concern me with them is the experts say that these two could go on a healing journey together. What? What are a healing journey together? Is very unhealthy, in my opinion, to put together two people who seem to need additional healing. It seems like he's had some traumas in his life, and so is she. She pretty much said every relationship she's been in has been a toxic one. It seems like he's been in toxic relationships. Now let's talk about Caitlyn's dad, because she has another daddy that is a memorable dad. He is, again, not feeling this way, and he is pissed, and they got him mic'd up, the producers. So this is going to be M.A.F.S Married at First Sight's gold. At least the way they edited it, to make him look like, from the moment, it kind of shows her riding to, her wedding in peace, excited. She about to meet her husband. But then the moment that her family is walking in, her mom, oh, look at the pretty flowers, and fuck them flowers. They could have gold chairs. I wouldn't give a damn. I don't like this. I don't like none of this. He hates it. Everybody smiling. He over there mumbling, complaining. Her family coming. He talking about they drunk. But to his credit, Adam's people, he does show up. So he is there. He just decides not to walk her down the aisle. Now, before the wedding, again, you see, they have the, different emotional moments with their families or whatever. So you think, now, it seemed like to me, Devin's grandmom is about to give us, she is about to make all of us cry. She is about to give us a word, a Maya Angelou moment. You know what I'm saying? Some good old marriage wisdom. Child, grandmom, grandmom says, back in the day, in 1999, I wrote on a notepad that you are gonna be a star. What? That's all she said, y'all. What? Why did y'all build this up like my grandmom was really about to say something that was about to have us bawling? That moment to me was hilarious, but maybe I'm immature. Maybe it didn't go over with people like it went over with me. You kind of see Devin hugging his mom after, the moment with his grandmom. And he's like, he gets to the altar, he's like, let's do the damn thing. First looks, you pretty much, production didn't spend a whole lot of time on this couple either. This was the other couple. This is the couple that production spent the least time on, if you want my opinion. They really didn't show anything with them until the third episode. Like, they showed little stuff with them at the bachelor party, little stuff with the experts talking about them during the matchmaking process, but really nothing about them. So it was really, really cute to see them see each other. Her coming down the aisle was even quick. It was like a hop, skip, and a jump. But once she got there, like, it kind of seemed them kind of match each other's energy. It was so cute. They kind of got caught up in talking, like, you look good. Oh, you look good too. Oh, this, and that. He was still in his green suit and his sunglasses on top of his head, child. But the funny part was, they talking, they, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you look good too. The officiant is like, welcome. Kind of gets their attention, like, dog, like, we gotta have the wedding still. So that was cute. They found, each other attractive. They, was having a little small talk and everything like that. It very much broke the ice immediately. His family was very excited for him. They seem to be very jovial to me. One of my favorite moments is, before they, after, the officiant was like, welcome, before they started their, vows or whatever to each other. She kind of said to them, like, I could, to both families, like, I could feel that y'all, are going to mesh well. It was a really sweet moment. In that moment, you see her dad kind of stand up, like, look, this is crazy. I don't trust this process, but I trust her. For him, that was a huge step. Show him kind of relinquishing, his control. And then it shows them going over their vows. Devin shares a little bit about himself. He loves to cook, cuddle. He loves festivals and raves. He's explaining about his rugby battle scars from playing rugby. She don't care. She think they cute. She like that shit. Caitlin, in her vows, promises communication and consistency, showing up every day. She reminds Devin, look, when we go out, you are in charge. From now on, you're in charge of my keys and my phone. So that was cute. Devin pretty much ends his vows like, look, we a team now. I'm in this. I'm in this. As long as you in this, fuck it, we ball. You know what I'm saying? So, they matched each other's energy. That was another cute moment. I think their personalities fit perfectly. Their reception, the same fun energy. They had the dancing, all the laughing, the cake cutting. Everything felt really, really natural with them. One moment that I really appreciated with them was Devin pulling Caitlin's dad aside. He looked him directly in the eye, told him his intentions with his daughter. Um, excuse me. He's like, look, my daughter's pretty dynamic. Devin, like, dog, I'm dynamic too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking you in the eye. I'm telling you, I got her. You know what I'm saying? He's very respectful, but he's confident. I thought he handled the conversation really, really well. My entire part of their story and with their wedding and their reception is toward the end of the reception. The dad was like, look, 5 days ago, I wasn't even going to come to this. You know what I'm saying? Um, Gotta admit, if I hadn't come, I would be very upset. I really enjoyed myself. Your family, talking to Devin is crazy. I like it. Our family, their family's really, really meshed. Um, and he's really talk about how really happy he is for his daughter. Like when he makes that speech, the room absolutely erupts. Like everybody's kind of been seeing his tone for the night and stuff like that. Like he wasn't really feeling it. So it was a really, really beautiful full circle moment. My prediction for them, out of all seven of the couples, honestly, they had the easiest chemistry. Um, they matched each other's energy immediately. They flirted naturally. Neither one of them looked uncomfortable. The biggest question for me with them wasn't attraction. The biggest question for me was honestly, with what the expert said, whether they are will be able to emotionally carry each other's baggage. They're very, very young. Um, will they be able to truly support each other's healing while trying to fix their own emotional wounds? You know, I think they got a shot, but that is like my biggest concern for them. Um, you know, Toward the end, they pretty much showed, everybody coming off of their weddings and receptions. Mecca and Jolie, they had a really good conversation. She was pretty much like, look, all I seen was my mom, struggle to raise, five kids. Mecca opens up about his, mom and stepmom leaving. Um, Both of them, bond over, look, we are going to have a strong family. We're never going to let go. They made sure to make that known. They immediately switched gears and talk about who's weirder, but somehow Aunt Belle Jolie wins the competition, talking about putting ketchup on her eggs. But she does stand on business. She says even though the environment seems very, very romantic, she is not going to kiss him on the lips. They seem to have a very, very um, chill and non-sexual but still respectful were husband and wife ending to their night. Then you have Cameron and Michelle back at the hotel. Cameron admits that one of his biggest adjustments is going to be, not living like a single man. They both acknowledge, okay, we're going to have to be moving, mostly together. We're married now. You know, she finds out, that he hasn't had a relationship that lasted more than 6 months. She was telling him, hey, I was in a 3-year relationship. We lived together. We was almost engaged. So that was kind of a low blow, like finding that out. But after all the talking they go through, and everything like that, she kind of feels confident with him. She realizes that he is actually looking for commitment. So it does help her to relax a little bit. Um, by bedtime, they're excited for their honeymoon. It was weird when she mentioned that Steph Curry was one of her celebrity crushes, knowing that his friends was mentioning that he's on got a video on YouTube guarding him. He normally, look, I don't look like nothing like him, but she like, you ain't got that to worry about because she is attracted to him. But it was weird that she brought that up. We got Courtney and Nick. Now, she's really happy with how the wedding ended, but she does have in the back of her mind, look, he's been on all these reality shows. She has the trust issues, from the wounds of the infidelity with her past spouses. Um, she takes down her hair. He's like, oh, I didn't know your hair was that long. She's like, it's extensions, chill. But he does say, like, he does hope that she is mostly natural because he ain't for all that makeup in the bed shit. I do wonder with them, if her feelings of abandonment, fear of abandonment is going to quietly sneak in, because she's starting to think about what if he gets bored. He's not even thinking about that. He hasn't done anything wrong, but she still has to feel fear there. But the night does end with them in the bed together. They're laughing about snoring in their different sleeping positions, and they do share a kiss and turn the lights out. Felipe and Tori, they are ecstatic. They are looking like one of the strongest couples so far, to me, honestly. Tori is still talking about how attractive she is to Felipe, and her. He feels like he won the lottery. Again, the only thing that I'm worried about with them is that he makes sure he doesn't, be out partying and stuff. He said the only thing that he's worrying about is making sure that she falls for him. So it seems like they're on the right track. It seems like they might go in a good direction. They cuddle, they share a sweet kiss goodnight. They call it one of the best days of their lives. Adam and Marissa, back at the suite. Of course, Adam thinking about himself, only caring about him. He wants to know what she thought immediately when she first saw him. Still fishing for compliments. We see exactly who he is. And she said that she does also, the moment that she sees him smile, she noticed, like, oh, I recognize this dude, from when they exchanged numbers and stuff them a few years ago, when he met her at the bar. They talk about sleeping arrangements. She's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm about to sleep on the couch, but you quickly see both of them kind of not getting comfortable in the bed, but seemingly about to go to get ready for bed. Then you kind of see him closing the curtain. You see no more of their interaction. You just hear the audio of it. You hear him saying something like, yeah, I don't have no worries about my wife seeing me naked. I trained for this. You hear her saying something like, go big or go home. I don't know if you hear smooching or if that's the sound of him manipulating the curtains close. The way production edits it, they leave that to our imagination. You see Nikki and Dr. Best, Nikki and Sean. They back at the suite. Sean is immediately asking if Nikki wants him sleeping in the bed. She's saying, yeah, the bed is big enough for each of us to have our own side, She again, in her aside confessional saying she finally said, I'm not physically attracted to him, but I'm going to say bisexual. Attraction can grow over time. Sean is like, I sleep in just shorts. She's like, please put a shirt on. Like, don't even try it. Like, he seems, like I said, a little cringy. She says it's cold in there. It's like, he looks at the thermostat, it's like 69 degrees in there. He makes like an off-color joke about, what we gonna do tonight? You want to do a 69? He makes it sound like a joke, but to me and to her, he's doing too many sexual innuendos. Like, that's a turn off. Like, stop showing while you're ahead. Stop bringing it up and then making like, oh, I was just joking. Like, it's not cute. It's very uncomfortable. It's like every time she tries to slow things down, he is ready to speed everything right up. And even when she's taking off her makeup, he's like, can I have a kiss? She shuts it down and he like becomes passive aggressive. Oh, let the He says, "Let something, let the something begin." He's let the drama ensue. He says, but in her side again, she's saying the production like, "Look, we not finna be kissing every 5 damn minutes," and I feel her on that. Um, you know, he thinks everything will be okay. It ends with them. They're clearly moving at two different speeds, but he is respectable. They go to bed. Laying in the bed together. Caitlin and Devin. Um, Meanwhile, we kind of see them. They look like they've been together for years. The couple that they showed the least, they look the most comfortable. The makeup's off. The pajamas are off. They're already ready, curled up in the bed. Devin is in the confessional, admitting, "Hey, I like physical touch. I like giving just as much as I like receiving. That's one of my love languages." But, the thing I appreciate about Devin the most, he never did any sexual innuendos. He never pushes it. He never makes any awkward comments. He never pressures her. It's just, conversation, easy conversation, comfort. You know, Caitlin even tells production specifically, so far, with Devin, there are no red flags. That's probably the biggest compliment that anyone has given their spouse all night. Okay. Um, my night's wrapping up, that night one for the couples. If I had to rank everybody where everybody stands after the wedding day, we got Philippe and Tori are strong. Caitlin and Devin are strong. Feels like they got off the strong starts at least. Beljolie and Mecca, also surprised me. But not really, they got off at a strong start. I like, excuse me, their emotional connection. Um, to me, they might end up becoming one of the strongest this season, with their commonalities and everything. They will be one of the couples that I'm most closely watching. One of the couples that honestly I kind of had a strong fear with was Courtney and Nick. He's been on a couple reality shows. She has the fear of abandonment. She has the issues with her own self-worth. Um he holds stuff in where she is very outspoken. And I'm very concerned about Dr. Best child. I'm very concerned about Sean and Nikki. But we'll see. I never want to. I'm rooting for everybody. But with Sean and Nikki, attraction and pacing are already becoming issues. They did leave us off on a little bit of a cliffhanger with Cameron and Michelle. Like I said, to me, in my opinion, trying to create the drama that there will be, issues. He will have issues because it seems like she has fertility issues. Because it does show her mentioning that she has fibroids and there might be fertility issues. It shows some kind of saying something about running for the hills, but you know, things that we see coming up this season. We see, of course, they about to go on their honeymoon, so stuff really about to start getting real. The couples, they all finally meet each other. Like all the girls meet each other's spouses, all the guys meet each other's spouses. You see the pool parties, the excursions, the arguments, the group activities and adventures, the group, counseling sessions. Um, you see eventually Sean and Nikki actually share a kiss. We see the arguments. Courtney telling Nick that she wasn't really feeling it when they was cuddling earlier. We also see Sean and Nikki arguing. Um, they have communication issues. Both of them look like they are feeling unheard. She also says something, you see Sean taking his shirt off on the beach. She kind of makes a sly comment about Sean having a dad bod, but not being a dad. Um, so we see all types of stuff coming up. Overall, I really like the first 3 episodes. Some of the couples have chemistry, some of them don't. Um, some have trust with attraction or trust before attraction, and some have attraction without trust. But that listen, that's what makes marriage at first sight so interesting, right? The weddings are over. The real marriages is about to start now. So y'all already know what y'all need to do. Drop your favorite couple in the comments. Tell me who y'all think is gonna actually make it on decision day. Tell me who y'all nervous about. Let me know what y'all think, because listen, baby, we got a whole season ahead of us, and I cannot wait to see how this all plays out. So thank y'all for sticking in here with me. I hope I did y'all good. And come back for these next episodes, child, because I will be recapping and reviewing, and hopefully y'all will be engaging. All right, y'all. Stay safe. I'll talk to y'all later.